Alrighty, Jerome B. Fam Cook, you know what this is? Not another cooking recipe. Today we're going to be interviewing a gentleman. He loves to talk to other military people. So this is inside the circles that are the circle that is the other circle, connecting veterans, culinary, and you know what's out there? Community. That's what we're trying to build it all together. Get it and talk something neat about how we can make better food for the home cook. If you're not military connected, then you should know we're not strange people. We don't have five heads. We just have good food, and we enjoy it because we know how important it is to build a better community. This gentleman's name is Steven Hellman.
Steven Hellman runs Hellman's Kitchen, a YouTube cooking show where he teaches the home cook how to save time in the kitchen by using the lessons from his U.S. Coast Guard days to feed a couple of hungry, salty sailors.
Please, Steven, how you doing?
Good, Jerome. Thanks for having me on the show, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. I really appreciate it for you taking the time out today and coming and talk to my side of the table. Hopefully one day we can get together and talk to all the sides of the table together. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm one of the rare Coast Guard veterans out there. I know we get called unicorns quite a bit, but I cooked in the Coast Guard for a few years. I was on ships my whole time in. A little bit in Alaska, mainly in California. We sailed down the coast of Central America a lot, doing all those drug busts and stuff. Those guys banging on the semi-submersible submarines. I was the one feeding those guys doing it. So without me feeding them, they couldn't have the nutrition to do it. So I was pretty much on those boats with them, as I like to say. But anyway, since then, went to college, worked a few jobs, and now I'm doing Hellman's Kitchen full time, which is my YouTube cooking show, as well as my Vet and Foodie podcast, where I interview different mil vet food entrepreneurs and bring together the wisdom of all of our different circles, as you so eloquently said.
Yes, sir. So let me understand it. Then you're like Steven Seagal, right? Where you're on the ship and you're the chef, and right. You're fighting people off with your kitchen knives and things. That was a movie, though, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. That's our one movie.
And he's also a guy behind the thing. Well, I'm ex-Air Force, so I find it funny when I find these direct connections to.
Oh yeah.
Fun. So Coast Guard, tell me a little bit about that. I mean, I know that you were enforcement, but you were literally on the ship. Is that how that works?
Yeah, so my first station, I was on a buoy tender, which is like a 225-foot ship, and we're basically it's kind of like on the sea construction workers in a way. We're pulling up buoys and then putting them back in a better place than we found it. And then my next ship was our biggest ship for the Navy or Air Force or anything else, very small probably. It's like a 400-foot ship, a couple hundred sailors. And on that ship, we would do all the drug interdictions down the coast of Central America. And we were out probably 5 or 6 months at a time, and we'd come into port for 2 months and then go back out. So it was back and forth a lot.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, that sounds like dangerous work no matter how you do it, because you're basically fighting off the pirates of the sea for the U.S. But all the way down in South America, I didn't know we went that far. I know that the Coast Guard was doing something over in Saudi Arabia too. I was like, what the? I don't think that's the job you signed up for. The Coast Guard, hence the name Coast.
Off the coast.
Off the coast.
We went up to. I actually got a chance to go up to the Arctic Circle too, which was actually kind of cool. It was fucking cold, man, but it was cool. It was a cool experience though. It was cold.
Yeah, so you got to see penguins up front and personal. Did you have your favorite?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. We saw some penguins, some polar bears and shit. It was a cool experience.
That's great. So this month I am kicking off or about to kick off a podcast. So we're talking about sauces on this particular episode. Now, to me, a dish is not complete without a sauce. Now, you have your 5 mother sauces, of which is your favorite?
Probably what was one of them? The tomato-based sauce. I'm Italian American, so
Veloute, which is, I believe, is the tomato-based sauce. Right? Wait, is that right? I believe it is. Close enough. Tomato-based sauce is fine. Okay. What would you say is the best combination to get a tomato-based sauce, and why did you pick it? Because you're Italian?
I do, man. Italian food's my favorite food to cook. I grew up in an Italian American household. I'm third generation, but
Third generation.
love Italian food, and I think the biggest thing is like the fresh ingredients. You know, from the garlic to the tomatoes to the basil. Everything's got to be good. If you skimp on one in particular ingredient, I feel like you can taste it throughout the end solution, which is the final product, right? Because you skimp on any little part of an ingredient, I feel like it kind of wrecks the rest of it. You know, like if you're making, I don't know, say garlic bread or something, and you're not making the homemade bread yourself, and you go buy a roll or something, or store-bought bread, it's still not going to be quite as good, right, as that final product. And I think that's something we took to heart a lot on my ships. Whenever we had fresh ingredients, you know, at a certain point of deployment, obviously we'd run out, but we cooked everything from scratch, right? Like we do all the night baking at night, etc., everything in between. But you really taste the difference when it's a homemade product versus adding in different store-bought processed ingredients into it. So that's my big thing. I think the ingredients really make the sauce important.
So as an Italian American, don't you ever wonder what exactly Italian Americans ate before the tomato was brought to Italy?
Oh yeah.
As a student of history, I'm always curious as to what. I mean, they claim it now. Obviously, it's theirs, definitely Italian, but it came from South America. So I'm like, what did they eat prior to that they claimed was theirs? And I have to assume it was some type of fish dish, maybe some sardine thing, or something like Portugal would be making, the Portuguese would make. Something that has to do with, I mean, olives, I think were originally theirs, but the redness of the fruit was like a warning sign to people not to eat. They thought it was poisonous for a long time. Even if they had it, he wouldn't eat it.
Yeah, can you imagine taking the first bite out of a tomato ever?
Oh yeah,
That's gonna be kind of wild.
I mean, I guess in a way, you would look and see if someone else had already done it. And
yeah, right.
If they were dead right around the area,
Exactly.
they're like, "Oh, don't eat that! Don't eat that!"
100%. We were just having this conversation over like the holidays, because we did like the Feast of the Seven Fishes, which is, I think, a very American Italian version of Christmas. But we were talking through the process. We're like, how did Italian Americans settle on the Feast of the Seven Fishes? And we're like, we couldn't quite figure it out. There are a couple different things. Maybe it's religion, maybe it's something else. But then we stumbled upon why everything has so much garlic here for Italian Americans and maybe not as much in actually Italy. And I guess it comes down to something like when the Italian immigrants came into mainly New York, right, where my ancestors came into, they used a ton of garlic to flavor the stuff because it was a really cheap ingredient. And I guess that's where garlic stemmed from so much in Italian American dishes. That's kind of what we're coming to the conclusion of. How true that is exactly, I don't know, but it kind of makes sense to me. So I don't know, just interesting food for thought. We're having a long discussion.
I wonder if it has something to do with preservation. So a lot of these things are techniques of preservation, hence the whitefish is salted. The salted fish, right, is to preserve it. But yeah, I'm not. So prosciutto, same thing. That's got there. The reason why cheese was made and stored for so long was preservation. They kept it in a cheese cave. Have you ever been to Italy?
Yeah, recently I did a trip with my wife and my sister. Actually, recently we went to Rome and Florence and had a great time. It was amazing. We're actually working on our dual citizenship right now, which is we just skimmed by from my grandma's side basically. So that'll be neat eventually once we get that. Be excited for it.
Rome to Florence, I've been to both. We stayed in
Nice.
Tuscany. So you zoomed past Tuscany?
Oh no! So we did go to Tuscany. We went to
okay.
Tuscany for I think we did 2 days in Tuscany. We did the wineries out there, that was the best part, honestly. I left Tuscany out, but that was incredible. They had one of the wineries was pretty cool. It kind of looked like a gas pump, but instead of gas, it was wine. It was in their place. And they would let us fill up any container we had. So if you had a thing of Pringles that was left over, you could technically pull that in. They would fill it up, and they just measure out how much they pour and charge you for that. So
wow,
it was a cool experience. It was neat. It was fun.
That sounds special. We were there for about a week. We went for a foodie thing from one of the cooking classes that were here.
Nice.
Stayed in some 14th century villa, and then we day travel. We cooked in the morning and then day traveled in the afternoon.
Nice.
Go see this place, that place, and then come back, and then we do the rinse and repeat. So we went to a prosciutto place and some other other places. But when you went to Florence, was there something in particular that you found was unique there in Florence as compared to Rome?
So besides like the scenery and all that, the food, I would say the Florentine steak. Did you have one when you were there?
No, we did steak? Not. We were on the hunt for gelato because we had met a gelato guy.
Okay, that's good too.
And we went to Italy, which I thought.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's right. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. It was like I got to go here just because it's sort of like when we went to Paris and went to McDonald's just to be so I can talk about.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. I like to hit every McDonald's in every country I visit because their menu items are so unique. Like we had a. What is it over in Rome? Is it the Trevi Fountain, I want to say, right?
Yes.
That's a big fountain over there. So there was a McDonald's nearby the Trevi Fountain, and we were eating the little, like, what are they called? They're little, like, dough balls with fried mozzarella and stuff in them with some sauce on it in front of the Trevi Fountain from McDonald's.
Right.
And it hit the spot, honestly. I mean,
orange. It's the arboreal rice that mixed with cheese.
Yeah. The arancini balls or something like that.
It looks like an orange, and that's why they call it orange, something or other. But it's really arboreal rice with cheese formed into a ball. Yeah, tasty.
Yeah. Super tasty. Man, and even their McDonald's over in Italy, their bakery section looked just so beautiful. Like you walk in, you're like wondering if this was really McDonald's or not. You know, they really level it up over there.
Yeah, Europe in general does a great job on. I don't understand why we let our standards dip so much.
I don't know.
I mean, even what's the name? Domino's Pizza has higher standards in Europe than we do here. Yep. Which I think is they can put whatever they can put something called, I don't even know what this is. Pizza cheese. That's the name of it. It's not mozzarella. It's pizza cheese.
It's fucked up.
So yeah, that's an unusual. Yeah, is it tomato sauce or is it tomato-like sauce? I don't know. I just can't fathom what we're actually eating, and I guess it's not dough either. It's something. It's something else.
Exactly.
You know, but over there they're required to put actual stuff in. That is, they can't have an in between.
Yeah,
but your podcast, you're doing a lot of. I see healthy food. I see you're slimming down a little bit from when I first met you, working with veterans. Yeah. Yeah, the chin is looking.
It's getting there, Oh yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the diet emphasis or the healthy emphasis on your podcast and on.
Yeah, sure. So big part of it actually. Funny enough, so the long story version, I guess, of it is when I was in the Coast Guard, I would not even give a second thought to trying to eat vegetarian or anything like that. I was like, if you don't eat meat, you're like kind of weird in my eyes, right? I was kind of one of those kind of awkward mentalities, kind of like immature probably. But since then, my mom went through, she's good now, but she went through a bout of breast cancer. And she was like, hey, Steve, you're a good cook. Like, all my doctors keep telling me to try anti-inflammation diets, and a lot of them keep telling me to try plant-based stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'll give it a whirl. Like, it sounds kind of weird to me. I'm not totally on board with it. But I started whipping up some stuff, and with plant-based cooking, it's basically no animal products, right? No dairy, no meat, etc. So you have to learn different ways to flavor things without using meat, which is typical, right? Which kind of reinvigorated my love for cooking, which kind of sparked me in the right direction for Hellman's Kitchen a few years ago, right? When I was just doing it very part-time. And I started experimenting with all these different recipes. I tried eating it for myself for, I think it was like 10 days or 12 days, and I lost like 10 pounds in like that amount of time. I was still eating a lot of calories, and like the protein was still pretty good, honestly. But it just like totally slimmed down. I felt a lot more like light on my feet. So I was like, all right, I'll give this a whirl. So now long story short, I eat meat still like a few times a week or whatever. So probably maybe 80% plant-based or something like that. But aside from that part of it, I just generally eat healthy my whole life. Just grew up, my dad owns a mixed martial arts studio in Florida. He's always ran that. So nutrition's been like first in mind and everything. So I've always been into healthy eating. But this January, I've been doing 30 days of healthy recipes on social media for Hellman's Kitchen. And that's been pretty fun because most of my viewers are, I think 70 or 80% of my viewers across every platform are millennial women. And they're very interested in the healthy recipes for January. So I'm directly trying to speak to them basically across my social media platforms, which seems like it's working decently so far. The numbers are picking up a bit, which is nice. So yeah, that's kind of like a long-winded answer.
That's great. So what's unique about our two audiences? Mine is mostly men, right? And they're ranging between the 18 to 65, I think it is. That is men, and I'm huge. I guess it's because I don't cook healthy. I love a good fat. I love a good. I don't negate, but that's also because my wife she has a YouTube channel and she's doing healthy stuff, right? So we're actually in the process of beginning to think about what our cookbook will be, and I understand you're working on something like this. You have a cookbook that you do?
So I've got a couple like small digital cookbooks for free on my website, which you can check out at helmskitchen.com. I got a plant-based one with a few recipes on there and just some sea stories and stuff like that, just to make it a little easier, because across the board I try to ask a lot of my audience how they save recipes, and I'm sure you hear the same thing. A lot of people are like, yeah, it's hard to like screenshot a recipe and find a recipe elsewhere, go to a blog and read through somebody's blog to find a recipe. So I try to make it a little more accessible with that. I'm working on I'll probably turn this 30 days of healthy recipes into a digital version as well. And I think it makes it a little easier, maybe printing out the recipe. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I know a few different companies have taken a whack at having like a food app to make that easier. One in particular I can think of was Mixo, where they did some business with me and bought a bunch of my like recipe videos or whatever. They ended up fizzling out, I think, last year or something like that. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? How do you think people get their recipes when they're looking at social media?
So my wife's biggest complaint, the reason we're even into food is because of Food Network, and her biggest complaint is getting a recipe, right? So I'm a trained. I am fully educated. That's my actual job, is working in software development. So on my site, I literally have a way for you to create recipes on it. But yesterday, I got an email from one of the chefs I had interviewed, Chef JJ. He was doing a podcast with this thing called Mies. And I listened to their podcast, and they seem to have a pretty good idea as to creating recipes and storing them online, right? But this is mainly for a professional chef. But it's open free, and we're basically giving them a commercial. It's free for anyone to use. There's several versions thereof, but you can store your recipes on this. The reason why it seems to be okay, that I'm liking about it, is that it allows you to scale your recipes, and it has the math that's already done, the algorithm that's already done for that. So like if you put 1 teaspoon in and and you need to make a multiples of 12, it'll do the math or whatever is required for the math to be proportional to the larger sizes. Originally, I had chased this little dream, and there's something called Chef Steps, right? When I was first getting into food, I'm highly technical, so I'm like chasing this dream of, oh wow, that's really cool, let me try this thing. So I would do stuff like deconstructed cocoa.
That's cool.
Right? So, white chocolate that you make into a foam, and then you make these because I'm a guy, I like to do these techie things. So then you make cocoa caviar it's a combination of a book that my wife had bought me for Christmas, along with the sous vide machine that she had bought me. And I made this, and I brought it to work when I was working for NBC, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing since sliced bread." So I found Chef Steps, and for work, we happened to have to be in Seattle. I went to go visit them, right, in their place, and they got hooked up. They were working on their first sous vide wand, right, the Jewel, and then they got bought by Breville, right? But the biggest thing from that is that Breville also took on their website, which is the thing I just mentioned before. They have a calculator on there that has been tested for recipes. I would like to find out what the data model is and how they work on that. But I don't know if it's proprietary, so I don't want to. I may have to just look around the edges and see how I'm seeing it shape itself.
Yeah.
But you can scale it right there instantly. If you need 5, you click on changing it to 5, and it reduces or increases the recipe size. But they're highly technical too, which I really appreciate. Right? Not that cooking has to be highly technical, but
Sure.
it should be close enough to guarantee a good result. The thing that Julia Child says, it's test and test again to make sure that it will work. What I'm talking about, because I'm signing off on it.
Yeah, I like that.
That's what I want to get.
That's interesting too. My thing is, especially when we're in the Coast Guard, probably mainly because when we were deployed, we didn't have internet for the most part. We were in whatever it's called, I think River City, I want to say the term was, right? When we're not able to reach out to anybody because of whatever, enemy intercepting stuff or something like that. But we just kind of rely on each other in like these really old, outdated cookbooks that we had on the ship with our small storage spot or whatever, and just our shared knowledge. But I was never a recipe guy back then. We would usually look at the recipes and we'd be like, that kind of sounds good. We'll do some of this more and we'll exchange this for that kind of thing, like what many cooks do, right? Pretty much everyone does, most likely. And we'd insert different things. So when I started Hellman's Kitchen, I had to track my recipes and put them out online for everybody else to see and the exact measurements of everything. I'll be honest, even to this day, that's my least favorite part about this part, because for me, I think too, it's a big Italian heritage kind of thing. My cook training when I was in my family was like measure with your heart, throwing like this much or like fingers worth, kind of thing. So
yeah. So as you can tell, I'm from an African American family, and we generally cooked by feel and by smell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the way I was raised by my great aunt, and my great aunt took care of 4 veterans who were shell shocked and some other situations. We don't need to go to my first podcast to talk about it. It was crazy. I'll just put it to you that way. I don't mean them, although they were not exactly all there. It was different for a childhood because of running around and the crew that I had in the neighborhood. That everybody used to come over and eat, because I guess she was well prepared for kids. Similar to my house now.
Nice.
3 refrigerators, 4 freezers, 300 stocked. I just did a winter, winter cleaning, and I had to get rid of so much food from COVID. It's just like I had stored it and it got to the bottom of the freezer. I can't believe I'm throwing away rabbit. I can't believe I'm throwing away this. I'm throwing away that, because we just haven't had people over. So we never went through the stuff that I thought we were going to go through. Like we still have duck in the refrigerator. We still have foie gras in the refrigerator. We still, it's a crazy volume. But my point is that she used to cook 4 people. She was a maid at one point. And she would clean and I guess cook, and her thing was that she would cook. If she worked for a German family, she cooked German. She worked for an Italian family, she cooked Italian. So I never had this is what my food of my people is. I always had, this is good food.
Nice. Nothing wrong with that. That's fun.
The slice of America, is basically what it is. So we really had an opportunity to taste a lot of different things, and so therefore I'm really globally situated with stuff that I like. So I make ramen, from scratch, and I'll make sushi. I'll do Chinese food. I'll do all of the American cuisines that we've touched, or what I like to say, American fusion. So.
I think that's one of the coolest parts about America. I got in an argument about this with this guy from France who's visiting, one of our buddy's buddy or whatever. He was like, "Yeah, you guys." He's like, "Yeah, I'm enjoying America. Like I miss parts of France." He's like, "What you guys don't do right in America is food." And I was like, "You're not right." I was like, "You're full of shit." Because think about it, everybody converged into America, so we have hundreds of different cuisines, especially in New York City, for example. Go to Queens, there's like 1,000 dialects spoken or something crazy like that. Exactly. I was like, you couldn't be more wrong on this one, buddy.
Could not be more wrong.
Yeah.
We're just good at stealing them. So
exactly.
That's what we do. American cuisine is the basically the sum of the world together. And then we call it, this is Asian Mexican cuisine that we now fused together. That's American cuisine. Precisely. If it's got a dash in it, that's what makes us a better place, I think. The taste of we went to Santa Fe earlier in the year, and it's like a combination of oh well, that can make it over, and then we'll make this fermented the corn that's like super large that's been soaked for days. I'm like, who thinks of these things?
Crazy, right?
Yes, crazy.
It's fun though, man. It's fun. Food brings everybody together, and everybody's got their own version of food. And I say this often, and like vets in particular, we have strong opinions for probably everything, but in particular food, I think, because we've all been so many different places around the world from our job in the military, right? And especially too in the military, there's so many different cultures in your specific unit that you meet that maybe you wouldn't have met if you didn't venture into the military in the first place, right? So everybody's got their own particular taste of food, and like that's something I dealt with a lot on my ship, is everybody having strong opinions obviously about everything, and like, you know, you just learn to shrug it off or whatever. But I also learned a ton from different people. Like I cooked with a ton of Filipinos, a ton of Mexicans, like learned some really good food when I was cooking the Coast Guard from other people, and like it's such a fun experience, just food in general, right? It's cool.
So if you could follow one person, you know, dead or alive nowadays, who would you follow?
I'm gonna follow.
I don't mean like on social media. I mean like I don't know, Julia Childs, you know, in her course to how she became popular. I don't know.
Good question. Oh, you know who I like a lot? So I like binging with Babish a lot. Andrew Ray. Yes. He's a big. I think he's been a big influence from my start of my YouTube journey. I think I even have like the pretty much the same butcher block as him that he uses in his video, just because I got the idea from him. I really enjoy his style of cooking and his style of video editing, because he worked in film for I think a number of years before venturing into doing his own thing. And I think his second or third video in was some kind of burger that just went super viral and blew him up, so he stuck with it. But yeah, I'm really I really enjoy following him. He did some kind of show, one of those Architecture of Digest shows or something like that, where he gives his tour of his place. He lives somewhere in Brooklyn, like a cool brownstone, but he's got his bottom floor converted into an entire cooking studio, and now he's got like another floor converted into another cooking studio where he has somebody else cooking on his payroll, but it still translates into a show, right? So I think yeah, I'd say Andrew Ray, big influence.
Outstanding. Have you ever looked into doing a cooking product?
So I've thought about it a good amount. I haven't actually done the research and looked into it too much. I think that's something probably end of 2024, beginning of 2025 I'll be interested in. Right now my pure focus is content production, so I want to amp up my production of content that's out there on social media and spread my reach and continue with that. So we talked a little bit about it the other week on the phone, but right now a lot of my business cash flow is what's called user-generated content, which is creating content for other products, whether it be like, you know, silly stuff like a bracelet or socks or whatever that's not involved in Hellman's Kitchen. But by doing these, I guess, kind of stranger products that aren't affiliated with Hellman's Kitchen, I'm learning from these big companies that spend a lot of money on developing best practices for their creative briefs and how to build good hooks and creative content, etc., and how to post it, everything in between. And I'm able to bring that to Hellman's Kitchen to use for my own content. So it's kind of like, I think of it right now as almost an internship or an entry-level freelance job with these other people that funds Hellman's Kitchen creatively and financially for a while, probably, until Hellman's Kitchen gets to the spot where more people are clients for Hellman's Kitchen instead of the other side around, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's kind of
if you could learn any language to be fluent in, what language would you learn?
Oh, Italian for sure. I just started Duolingo. I speak Spanglish. I used to speak good Spanish, but I dropped the ball on that. But now I'm learning Italian. I got Duolingo. I just started the other week. Actually, for my wife to get dual citizenship, she's got to pass a language test, and she can't take that until I think 3 years after I get my citizenship for Italy. Which is kind of crazy.
She has a little.
So she's got to be real good. Yeah, she's got to run with it.
Okay, all right. What is your intention to pick up one of those dollar villas or something?
Oh, I don't know about that, but something, yeah, for sure. Me and my sister, we want to get something eventually. Yeah, get a little spot out there, maybe by Tuscany or something like that, or Florence even.
Yeah, you and Rachel Ray and
yeah, right.
One of my old senior VP's husbands had place in Italy. I'm like, yeah, I like that too, but I'm like, man, that would take so much work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I just to look the kitchen. They had a rule over there where you can't even get a rental place that has a real stove in it. It has to be electric or something. That's I don't know, from renting purposes. I guess they had a fire problem or something. I don't know.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous if New York cuts us off from gas. They've been talking about it for a little while.
Why are you nervous about? Tell me what you're nervous about that. What?
So it sounds like even so for power tools and stuff like that, they might convert everything to what's it called, electric,
battery.
To batteries. But I love cooking on gas and range, right? Well, I'm a little nervous. What if they tell us we can't use gas any longer in our kitchens in New York? That would suck.
Yeah,
I would not be a fan.
So have you tried induction before? I thought I saw you.
Yeah. So I have an electric oven. I hate it, but I'm working on replacing it. But yeah. And I use an induction cooker for my filming too.
Right.
I don't like it either. But I'm a little nervous if they cut us from gas. I like cooking on gas because you can control the heat a lot more precisely, and
that's funny because they say induction is more precise than gas.
I like gas. Yeah.
Really. The only thing I didn't notice whether you had invested in pots or not. So I noticed that you had induction for your demo. I really don't like to. I have an induction heater too, but I don't really like using it because it's noisy.
Very noisy.
Right, the fan kicks on, but now my new stove is extremely noisy too.
Is it?
I'm really surprised at how noisy. I finally leveled up and got I invested, threw some money at it because my previous stove broke. My Samsung. Samsung broke before Christmas. Let's just say I'm not happy with Samsung in references because it's pretty much one appliance after another, and we just had redone our kitchen like 8 years ago. Literally took down walls, expanded as much as we possibly could. Invested some real money in it and bought they're close to top of the line, if not top of the line product, and then it slowly broke.
Love that.
Yeah, you just like. So I'm like, I obviously didn't spend enough money, so now I'm.
Wait, is the new one induction? Is that what you have now?
No. The new one's gas. It's gas stove. It's Blue Star. Right?
Nice. Sweet.
Is the range, and it's the 22 in the front on the two in the front, and then 15 and 5, I think it is, on the stovetop itself. It looks nice. It's beautiful,
nice
looking range. But the problem is I'm in a townhouse, and a townhouse you can't have a big vent. So
yeah, sure.
So you say sure. I'm like, I don't understand why they just didn't kick a hole out the front. I don't what.
Yeah, I don't know the why. I've just heard that before.
Yeah. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm wondering if I could sneaky link it, but I don't know whether the HOA would have a problem with me venting into my porch.
Yeah. Nice.
But I don't know. Well, I haven't decided yet.
Yeah. You're not gonna do it.
I'm not gonna do that.
Wink, wink.
So I had another question. I'm sorry. What do you think you will do to get ahead in the next step for you?
Next step for me is kind of what I touched on before. It's really just defining my daily workflow of creating more content each day or week. I build more content. I learn something new that I didn't the other day, whether it be as simple as running my light from a different power source or pushing a light a little closer backwards or whatever, just little things, little minor improvements that make a better end product, which is a better video. It's just amping up production, Consistency is key, which I'm learning more and more. You take a little break from posting on social media and the algorithm gods curse you for a little while, basically. So just being more consistent, that's what stemmed my 30 days of healthy recipes. It's keeping me on track, 30 days of January with one final culmination video on the 31st. And I'm going to keep that workflow going this year. So with that mindset, I should have 365 new videos for 2024, short videos. And just production, more.
Cool. And obviously, I assume then, because you have the content, you'll have 365 new recipes that you'll be putting out. So therefore, you'll have enough to pick and choose for a good book. Are you planning on doing any touring, or are you going to set up a tour, maybe a travel and eat with you sort of situation? Is that something you were thinking about?
So to be honest, it starts back with the first original idea of Hellman's Kitchen, which came from my wife. We were sitting on a bench in Brooklyn, at Brooklyn Bridge Park, looking out into the ocean or whatever during COVID times, and we're like, how the hell do we stick with this remote work? Because we're both enjoying it, And she's like, well, those music videos on YouTube that get replayed and replayed over and over again for like 2 hours with the Yule log in the background and the Christmas music? Those have millions of views on it, and people are making money in their sleep. She's like, why don't you do that with your cooking? And I'm like, that's a brilliant idea. So that kind of was what kickstarted Hellman's Kitchen. And now I forget your original question. What was your original question again? I went off on a tangent.
Honestly, I forgot. I'm like, how do you expand your? I mean, this is difficult. Trying to create something out of nothing and growing it. In my case, passive income, which is what your wife was talking about, making money while you're sleeping, is my retirement plan. That I've been working towards this 6 years now, right? Slowly but surely, and work has been taking the front right now, at least for a long time. And now I'm at that spot where I'm trying to make the decision to make proper steps. Like there's a building up the street. I would love to turn into a studio. I know what the dollar value is. I know what as an ex-photographer, I did that for 20 years. I know how to what is required for the angles to make a better show, and I have a couple of models. If you look at any of the ones I've mentioned so far, Shop Talk. If you look at them, their videos are to a point. I know what their studio looks like. I've been there. They use 2 shooters, which is excellent. I know that most. I forgot, somebody just said it last night too. I was watching some show, and they were calling it. Who was it? That was it. I was watching PBS, and we're watching interview with Valerie Bertinelli. She's being interviewed by the guy who does the guy that almost got arrested in his own house. Right. He's the professor from Harvard, and he's going over her history, and she was talking to him about how she got to where she is, which is basically she's now not only known for her acting, but now she's known for cooking. She basically was a person who enjoyed Food Network, which was our thing, had it on all the time, and figured she should get off the couch and do something. So she happened to be at a Food Network event, which I would like to happen to be at a Food Network event also. And she mentioned to him, I've always been interested in cooking. And they said to her, why don't you do a TV show? And she was like, you think I could do that? She goes, of course you can. This doesn't happen to you and I, even though we've run into these circular things. Sure. I've been in the New York area. I mean, Food Network is only down in Chelsea, right? I've met a lot of people coming out of that place, the Chelsea market. In fact, one of the places I used to work at was literally around the corner. I'd be there basically every day. We'd go there for lunch, right? And we'd see Gordon Ramsay. You'd see Jeffrey Zakarian coming out of there, right? I didn't see Rachel Ray there, but my wife and I went to Rachel Ray's show like 5-6 times, right? And met Alex Bonicelli through another thing, Carla Hall from another thing. Even though you have these circles, you're still not in the space as to make it happen. So to present a show, she was saying that that they just said it's you can just spin it up, and obviously we don't have that investment, but all I can do is craft the idea as to how you can do it. and you need X amount of space for a studio to shoot. In our particular case, I can tell you that you need a certain amount of backup room from where you're actually standing, right? It's basically 15 to 20 feet, right? So that you can have a variant of lenses to zoom in and zoom out to show the actual work. And then if you look at Julia, have you seen this show? Are you a foodie or a sort of foodie? I know you cook.
I watch a lot of YouTube cooking more than Food Network, to be honest.
So this isn't even on YouTube. It's a regular TV show talking about Julia Child's life and how she got into it. I'm really big into food. I get it the sideways way. You watch the movie The Chef?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then you might like The Bear. Have you seen this television?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that show is intense. It really,
it's good.
really,
that's a good one.
Yeah, and what's great about it is not only it. I saw my place I used to work at, Clover. Right? I saw the product on there doing badly. I'm like, how did you guys let this happen? It's not a good look, guys.
It's funny.
I'm talking to the chief of marketing. This is really funny. I was like, did you not see that our product was there? That's great product placement in a way, but it was showing badly in another way.
Gotta love that.
Yeah, gotta love that. So, if you're watching The Bear and you're watching these other opportunities, you'll see that they create dishes that are highly influenceable, similar to Ted Lasso's cookie. That was a big pickup. You know, The Bear has the omelet with the potato chips on it and the Parmesan cheese in it, right? If you watched 1,000 steps across, it's basically about a chef who is of Indian descent, who goes to France with his family, and he cooks traditional Indian food because that's what his mother and family used to do. Was they owned the restaurant, and they set up in France, and obviously they have no visitors because they're Indian in France, and you know how people are. They're very, until they finally get brought over and they taste the food, and they're like, oh, this is delicious. But anyway, long story short, he ends up going to work for the Michelin star restaurant that is across the street from him.
Nice.
And brings it back to get its second Michelin star. Therefore, he gets called by the food gods as the lady presents, and ends up in Paris. And then he finds out that he doesn't want to get his Michelin star in Paris. He wants to get it at home on his own.
That's
at
cool.
home being the restaurant across the street.
I think I know which one you're talking about. I haven't seen it. I saw a preview. What's it called again? What's the name of it? 1,000 Steps to something?
I think it's 1,000 Steps. It's
I'm
basically food romance to me, because it's like he's got a love story in there, and you know they talk about the test that gets him in the kitchen, which is how to make a perfect omelet.
Nice.
And right. So to me, I'm finding that these stories remind me a little bit about being home when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. You know, to find the romance of good quality food that's homely and brings back a food memory. And then the reasons why I like food personally myself is because I can tell a story and I can share something with someone who's never experienced it before. Right?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like when you find your, you know, especially in New York City, everybody's got their favorite slice of pizza, but maybe more of it's their favorite because that was their first slice they had in the city, or like something happened. It's like brings back an experience, right? That surrounding, that smell, and everything in between. So that's a cool part of it too. Oh, and I also thought of your original question was, am I doing a travel for a book tour or anything like that? That's what I was getting to. We're sitting on the park bench figuring out how not to travel or commute into work. So basically, long story short, I'm trying not to travel or do many in-person things with this cooking show. I love the fact that I can film it all in my home kitchen and utilize social media. So yeah, it's really the goal. It's content production, social media, and YouTube.
And here's the difference between us. I really like the travel part because I get to experience new things. We went to Philadelphia and found out about their obsession of soft pretzels. I didn't know that this was a thing. And I like that. To see my wife's face having a warm, soft pretzel
Nice.
that's just hers was tremendous. So
that's cool.
and gelato. When we went to Italy and we found that gelato guy I told you about. He's in an orchard. He's in the middle of no place on the side of the hill, next to horses and cows, literally. And he's making gelato, of which they put in a bun and put liquor in. I thought that was spectacular. And he's got people walking up. I'm like, where are you walking from?
Nice. Who knows, right?
I mean, there's literally there's nothing there but orchards and cows.
Pretty good.
And he's got a gelato thing. But he had 8 different spots in Italy, up and down, Tuscany, all the way from Florence to Rome. And he would pull cherries right off the cherry tree or apricots. He made us apricot gelato when we were there. I like that aspect of getting to meet new people and enjoying that exposure. That's what I want to bring to people.
That's good.
The adventure.
I like that. I like that for my personal life too. For Hellman's Kitchen, I like my home kitchen. So I'm with you on that. I'll join you and I'll see you from afar.
You watch my other favorite Somebody Feed Phil? I mean, that's
yeah, I've seen bits of it. Yeah, I liked it. It's good.
And he doesn't cook a thing, but he I enjoy his facial expressions on how he enjoys food.
He's got the best facial reactions. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and when he doesn't like something, I find it funny too. Good time.
For sure.
Also a New Yorker, which I think is pretty interesting. We also have the ability to explore and enjoy.
Oh yeah. I will say one of the traditional cooking shows I do watch often is Chopped, and it seems like so many Chopped contestants are New Yorkers, which I love. It's cool. Something about it. It seems like a good percentage are. I don't know why that is exactly, but
it's easy to get on it. Well, I wouldn't say easy. I should say.
Maybe because it's centralized to their headquarters or something like that.
Yeah, it's right there. You
that makes sense.
I talked to several people from the show. Right, Michael Jenkins is one person I interviewed. He is Alex Foncelli's chef de cuisine for butter in Midtown. Cool. Right, and he's been on Chopped. When I was doing the interview with him, I did research on him. He was on it 3-4 times, and I was like, Michael, how come you've been on the show so much? He goes, well, you just go at 6 o'clock in the morning and you wait in their waiting room, and they'll put you.
That's cool. That makes sense. All right, so I've got to tell my wife this, because we have that debate all the time. We're always like, oh, there's another New Yorker. There's another one. We're like, how are they all getting in there?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I forgot whether they had to get a ticket to wait or that you had to do the thing. But Michael had done Chopped a couple of times. He had won Chopped a couple of times. And I did an interview with the guy that just left Pie Hole, Chef Bynum. Right, he had a great pizza place in Farmingdale. I don't know if you know what Farmingdale is. Right, I say great because it was unique. Black guy putting potato chips on pizza, and it tasted oxtail. And he had all the names of the pizza were all named after rap groups.
Nice. That's
from
cool.
the 80s, which is cool. He got a De La Soul pizza. And
nice.
Anyway, he also had a restaurant. Grew up in Farmingdale, had a restaurant in Farmingdale, Amityville. That closed, and COVID something happened, and a bunch of other things. And I guess the pizza place wasn't doing well enough, so he had to shut that down. But he now left New York. But I saw him on some advertisement that he was going to be doing something in the Hamptons, and I was like, oh, let me just give this guy a call, see what it does. If I can stop by. And he's like, yeah, come on by, I'll talk to you, blah, blah, blah. So he had a food truck, and I think he took his food truck and moved down south is what my understanding is, where he is right now. But excellent chef, right? And he could throw he's got some combinations together. But nice. Who is one person that you've interviewed that you'd like to, see expand or do something different, or tell me a little about?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you a couple episodes I had Killer Coffee Beans on. They're interesting because they're, I think, just a few years into business, but they're working with this great nonprofit called Let's Chow. They basically send mill vets through this great culinary education program as fellows, right? A certain amount based on fundraising and some other initiatives end up with a food truck funded by this nonprofit, right? which is pretty neat. So I think they're one of their newer fellows. They're based in somewhere in Florida. I want to say the east coast of Florida, maybe Boca or something like that. But it was cool hearing about food truck businesses from time to time, because I feel like that's where a lot of people's head goes when they think about starting up a culinary business, because that's the lowest overhead instead of running a whole restaurant with a huge staff and potential for a ton of loss, right? So that was pretty interesting. I love to see a lot of their fellows do better with the food trucks, especially because it's such an interesting mission, you know? Working with student veterans for a long time at Fordham University when I used to for a few years. Got to meet a lot of different nonprofits working in the veteran space. Out of the, you know, whatever, there's a couple thousand, there are, I'd say a couple hundred do things that have tangible results for these vets on the other side, right? I think Let's Chow is one of those. I partnered with them for a few different things. We're trying to fight food insecurity for military connected communities, right? That's one of the things. But I'd love to see their fleet of food trucks just thrive, because I think it's a great mission. You know, it's helping vets out, all about that. So, yeah.
So are they strictly Florida based, or are they across the country?
No, so they're across the country. I want to say they have 5 or 6 trucks. I think they're funding another truck. Or maybe they just funded another truck, but they're in a few different states around the nation. Yeah, and they have different cuisine. They have 1 or 2 Afghan refugee run food trucks too, which I think is a pretty neat component of what they do. I want to say one is a Filipino food truck. They got Farina Pasta and Noodle, who I think is coming through with a food truck soon. They got a restaurant right now in Philly. So they got a few different things in work, but I think that'd be cool to see their fleet thrive, because it all supports mill vets, which obviously I'm big on. So yeah, I think that'd be neat.
Both are.
Exactly.
You know, working when I first met you, we first started talking. I was working at NBC and I was leading VetNet. So I've met a bunch of VSOs, veteran service orgs, right, that are out there that need help. But just Let's Chow sounds pretty interesting. You know, I was just curious as to you know, can you send me the process on getting somebody signed up for it? You know, in my mind, I think that veterans should be supporting veterans, and that we think a little bit different than I think most Americans in reference to how we can support each other. Like, I can mention your name, I can, you know, share my support, but the idea that I can bring you in on something. I'm working with another vet right now who's looking to be my producer. You know, and I'm trying to get more people. When my retirement comes, meaning otherwise known as I stopped doing software development for a living, right? And I'm moving over, like the big king yourself, right, into full time doing podcasting, which won't be full time for me. Still, I'll still have. My alternate plan is to do my other job, because I always have 2. I can't just have one. I'll probably be working on electric cars. That's probably what I really want to do. I want to do that as a side hustle, because I want one. You know, that's usually how it ends up being for me. I want this thing, so X. So think retro cars. What is your favorite classic car?
I like Broncos.
So if I gave you a Bronco that was tricked out, fully electric, custom interior, what color would it be on the inside?
What color? I feel like I always go simple. I like black, jet black.
Black. Yeah. Okay, so black, matte black on the inside. So leather. You're saying leather or fabric?
I think leather. Yeah, we'll go with the leather.
So the idea here is that you go with in my mind, I'd like to do custom cars that look like the original one. So if you have a particular year, in my case, I want a 67 Mustang. Looks like a 67 Mustang. Completely tricked out. But on the interior, it's going to be techno, unbelievable. Full dashboard that is electric edge to edge, monitor screen, fully integrated with my phone. No handles on the door. I can get it to pop out using my iPhone. All this stuff can be done. Surround sound on the outside of the car to make it sound like it's electric, not electric. Right, similar to one of the movies where they made the roaring sound that you can use.
Nice.
No backseat. It's gonna be tricked out to the point of 2 people, me and my wife, and we're good to go.
Nice. Cool.
Travel just to get out there and exceed the 350-mile range that you normally have for these electric cars.
That'd be
Mine
sweet.
would be matte black on the outside, matte black on the inside, or black on the inside with a red accent. I think that would be pretty cool.
Sounds pretty slick. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yes, but if you can custom order something, I can get it to you with your name stitched in the seat.
Perfect.
Yes, that's something that you can, because I used to have when I was in the Air Force, I had a 61 Mercury Monterey with one electric window. The rear window used to go down.
Yeah.
All the rest of them were 255, cranking.
Nice.
So I always envision myself in a large, well, not necessarily large, but a fun car for the future.
I like it.
Yeah. Finding something old, taking the dents out of it, updating it, throwing an electric package on it, and giving you the ability to, because these custom cars you're not really usually taking out every day anyway. Why not make them?
Why not, right? Sounds cool. Sweet. I like it.
We gotta get you that Bronco, and I'll write that down so I can make sure to call you when it's time.
That's right. Perfect.
Hey man, I got this Bronco. It's black on black. I heard that you,
That's right.
remember, you wanted something like that. It's got a light package underneath it. It looks like it's floating, but
Perfect, man. I love it. Yeah, my first car was a Bronco 2. It was like a $1,200 car with transmission shit out on it 3 months in, but I love that car.
yeah. Now imagine having that car without a transmission in it, because that's literally what you would have with an electric car. There's no reason for a transmission.
That's true.
Motors on each wheel.
Nice.
No.
I like it. Cool.
But let's wrap this up, my friend. I think we're good on time and everything else. Is there anything else that I should know that you're doing in the future that maybe my people can help support?
Just pumping out content, lots of food content, lots of podcasts with veteran-owned businesses. I'm be inviting different industry professionals on my podcast as well, whether it be, consumer packaged goods, marketing, e-commerce experts, to speak to my mill vet audience, to kind of teach them the route for, best practices, how to run their business. So, keep up with everything on helmskitchen.com, youtube.com/helmskitchen. And Hellman's Kitchen across all social media. Just keep in touch. Got some cool stuff in the future.
Oh, well, thank you very much again for taking the time to sit down and talk with me. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, and I hope that you feel the same. I can't wait to see what this all turns out to be. In the end, we'll check back in a couple of months. All right.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you inviting me on, and love what you're doing here, Jerome.